History often describes collapse as an exception, a tragic deviation from the expected path of progress. Wars, disasters, invasions, or internal decay are presented as explanations, as if collapse requires extraordinary circumstances. But when the full scope of human history is examined, a far more unsettling conclusion emerges. Collapse is not unusual. It is routine. What is unusual is how thoroughly we normalize it after the fact. Most civilizations do not fall in ways that feel dramatic to the people living through them. They unravel gradually. Systems degrade. Standards lower. Institutions weaken. Life continues, just with slightly less reliability than before. And because the decline is incremental, it feels survivable, manageable, temporary. This is how collapse hides itself. When historians look back, they often compress long periods of decay into brief narratives. A few dates, a few causes, a few decisive moments. What disappears in this process is the lived experience of decline. The decades, sometimes centuries, during which people adapted downward without fully realizing what they were losing. The fall of complex societies rarely feels like an ending. It feels like adjustment. In the ancient world, many civilizations reached extraordinary levels of organization. They built infrastructure that required long-term planning, centralized authority, and stable resource flows. Roads, aqueducts, irrigation systems, administrative networks. These were not accidental achievements. They required sustained coordination across generations. Yet these systems were also fragile. They depended on continuity. Once disrupted, they did not fail immediately. They decayed. The Roman Empire did not collapse in a single year. In many regions, people continued living in Roman-style cities for generations after imperial authority weakened. Markets still functioned, laws were still referenced, buildings were still used, but maintenance declined. Roads deteriorated. Tax systems fractured. Local power replaced centralized governance. From the inside, this did not feel like collapse. It felt like change. Only later did it become clear that something irreversible had occurred. Knowledge of large-scale engineering faded. Literacy declined in some regions. Long-distance trade networks disappeared. What had once been routine became impossible. And yet, history often treats this as normal transition. The same pattern appears elsewhere. In the Maya world, cities were not destroyed overnight. They were gradually abandoned. Rulers lost authority. Agricultural systems became unstable. Droughts intensified stress. People migrated. Urban centers emptied. Life continued, just elsewhere and at a smaller scale. From an archaeological perspective, this looks like collapse. From a human perspective, it felt like survival. This is the dangerous illusion. Collapse does not announce itself as collapse. It presents itself as adaptation. Civilizations normalize decline by redefining expectations. When water becomes scarce, people adapt to less. When infrastructure degrades, people lower standards. When institutions weaken, people rely on informal systems. Each adjustment feels reasonable in isolation. Over time, the cumulative effect is profound. What once required no thought becomes impossible. Skills disappear because they are no longer practiced. Knowledge fades because it is no longer useful in diminished systems. The normalization of collapse is what makes it so effective at erasing memory. Later generations grow up knowing only the reduced version of society. They assume this is how things have always been. The memory of greater complexity becomes legend, myth, or exaggeration. This is why ancient texts often describe a lost golden age. It is not necessarily nostalgia. It is memory struggling to survive simplification. Collapse also reshapes values. When survival becomes the priority, long-term thinking fades. Preservation gives way to immediacy. Education narrows. Specialization disappears. What cannot be sustained is abandoned. This process is not failure. It is adaptation under constraint. But adaptation has a cost. The more a society adapts downward, the harder it becomes to recover upward. Systems that require scale cannot be rebuilt easily once scale is lost. Knowledge that depends on continuity cannot be reconstructed from fragments. This is why post-collapse societies often reuse ancient ruins without understanding them. Stones are repurposed. Foundations are built upon. The physical remains persist, but the systems behind them do not. From the outside, this looks like stagnation. From the inside, it feels like practicality. History pretends this is normal because history is written after the fact. It describes outcomes, not processes. It smooths over the discomfort of gradual loss. But for those living through it, collapse is not an event. It is a condition. The most unsettling aspect of collapse is that it can occur without anyone making a clear mistake. No single decision causes it. No single generation is responsible. It emerges from cumulative pressures interacting with rigid systems. Environmental change, resource depletion, population pressure, political complexity. None of these alone destroy civilizations. Together, they create stress that existing structures cannot absorb indefinitely. What history often labels as inevitability was, in reality, delayed response. Civilizations do not collapse because people stop trying. They collapse because the systems they inherit were built for conditions that no longer exist. And instead of rebuilding those systems, societies adapt around their failure. The ancient record is filled with examples of this quiet normalization. Inscriptions that reference shortages, laws that lower standards, architectural simplification, artistic decline. These are not signs of sudden disaster. They are signs of long-term adjustment. What is lost is rarely mourned. It fades into background. Future historians often mistake this process for stability. They see continuity where there was contraction. They see endurance where there was loss. The truth is darker. Collapse succeeds not because it destroys everything, but because it convinces people that less is enough. This is why civilizations can survive long after they have stopped being what they once were. They persist in name, in fragments, in memory, while their core capabilities disappear. Eventually, even the memory fades. The collapse that history pretends was normal is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is reasonable. It is human. And that is what makes it repeat. Subscribe to this channel for more. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a story lost to time.